and then people can hop in later. Do you want to figure out how to... God damn it. Ah.
Okay. Okay.
It might be an issue if...
Okay.
It might be an issue if...
Luckily, there's a 3-second lag, so if...
So I have security... It's not ideal for this because my phone has a bunch of security settings that make apps that work. So you can't switch away from that.
I won't.
It sounds okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Did you see a
Backpack? Have you seen a black backpack with cherries on it?
This one? No? You want a short? Okay, all right, sure.
So it's streaming right now.
Yep.
My
Okay.
yeah. Okay. So
How do I
did
open
you
the
drop
chat?
it in the chat? No, can you do it from your phone with the link that I sent? Because if you the security
disable.
settings on my phone disable audio and video if their app is not in use. So it's not like perfect, but it fits with the theme. Also, if you want to move this, are you gonna want to like move this
I'm
around?
just going to move it to the speakers.
Okay, you can.
I know how to do it.
Well, it's
This
like
little arm
two.
here?
It's two things, so it's not.
Okay.
It's not exactly here. You can do. What you can do is. Oh, perfect.
How about
What you?
that?
Yeah, you can do that. You can also just detach this and walk around,
Okay.
but it's this clip. here.
Okay.
Yeah?
This.
So it works?
Yep. All I gotta do is hold on to that button.
Hello. All right, great.
Aaron, I don't think I can comment because I don't have a YouTube account.
What's that?
I don't have a YouTube account, so.
Oh, you can do it on my phone.
Told me not to comment on your phone.
No, don't switch apps on it.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna let it keep going.
Yeah.
All right, test. Test. Testing. Test. Testing. Test. Okay. Test.
Somebody told me about this. They were like just reading people's things and stuff because they had this year.
Pretty good at everything. Yeah, that's not There's a delay.
Oh, I'm now walking.
Yeah.
I'm walking back.
Time machine.
Yeah. I love that. That's pretty cool. All right, brother. I'm gonna try to
tune in.
All right.
Thank you, my man.
What's up?
Hi, this is Terry. It's okay? Is it too loud?
No.
Okay. Maybe you think that because you're seated so far back. and you might want to come up closer. My name is Katie Church. I'm a local resident of Ithaca, and I found myself in cohorts with a few other community members who are interested in learning more about this issue of surveillance in our community.
And hi, my name's Dirk, another member of Flock Off Ithaca. We know some of the other folks involved in putting the event together. Maybe they raise their hands so you can see who folks are. Cool.
Okay, just a quick framework for how I'd like us to be in the room together today. Really simple. Is it kind? Is it true? Is it necessary? Kind, assume we're all doing our best and we don't know what someone else is going through or what place or space they occupy as a result of their identities. True, it can be tricky to figure out what's true today between propaganda, marketing, what somebody told you, and we know that's on purpose. So take your time, read carefully, check your sources, and try not to repeat something as fact if we're not sure it is. And we can hold ourselves accountable to facts, and we can encourage ourselves and each other to be more curious and learn more this way. Is it necessary? Let's respect each other's time and space. A good way to do that could be to pause when a thought comes up and say, has someone else already said that? Is it kind? Is it true? And we can show agreement and support using twinkle fingers or snapping, which can allow the conversation to continue. A reminder to care for your own needs, stand up, stretch, use a bathroom, rest when you need it. And a helpful lens might be that we're all here because we share a concern for the true safety of our community.
There is a bathroom on the second floor that might be a little bit more comfortable for grown-ups that aren't 3 feet tall. The toilet downstairs is like literally down here, so probably use the bathrooms upstairs.
There's elevators around the corner. If you go out down the hallway, there's elevators there.
There's elevators around the corner. You go out and down the hallway.
Yeah, so there are elevators to be upstairs out around the corner. There's also bathrooms back in each corner right there.
Oh, never mind.
And also, we want to say thank you to Mask Block for being here to support a safer community too. And is there someone from Mask Block that wanted to say something? Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm from Ithaca Mask Block. We're here, we have a table in the back. We brought some masks if anyone wants them, you can go for now or take it home with you. We also have some literature about how to wear masks if it fits right. We also brought some COVID tests as well. We are here because we're here to call for more people to consider the ways that the COVID pandemic is still infecting us, still disabling people and still killing people. And we'd like to take this moment to call all of us in to consider the ways that we can continue to protect each other and continue to step up our efforts to protect each other in our community, our loved ones, especially when I think all of us here know that our government has abandoned us with any sort of public health. I just want to read a real quick thing from this zine right here. Mask up, we need you. Palestinian solidarity, COVID-19 struggle for liberation. And next are a tool of the colonizer. Refuse to do the bloody work of empire. And just that we should insist that masks are a part of the liberated future that we can all build together. That's all I got.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'll say it as somebody who has long COVID and was disabled by the pandemic, it messes with your ability to organize if you are more disabled, and it's nice to have spaces that are more accessible so that we can participate more fully in things. I'll also say that when the state seeks to ban masks, they do it because they want to be able to use facial recognition on protesters, and that hurts those of us who are disabled who need to wear masks. So, like, there is a tie-in between surveillance and masks. We want to keep masks out there for a variety of reasons, as it so often stands. When you do something that helps disabled people, it helps you too. So, let's see. I'm going to talk about open space technology. Open space technology is a very fancy, funny word for a very simple type of meeting process. It's called open space technology because it was originated by business nerds as a way to get creativity out of a group. It happens to be that other groups can use that kind of creativity as well. The lineage of it here in Ithaca is that we used it very heavily in the anti-fracking movement. Is anybody here from involved in the anti-fracking movement? Yeah, right? Come on. Little Ithaca took on some of the biggest corporations in the world with one. Like, yeah, so, thank you. So anyways, we use this as a meeting process pretty extensively. We got it through movements in England that have been using it. But the way that it works is we are going to have a piece of butcher paper on the wall back there where that gentleman in the white shirt is standing, right behind him. We're going to put a little grid there with time slots and space slots. And you see there's spaces on these pieces of paper around 1 through 6. If we want more, we can make more. But so once we get to the end of the presentation part, and we get into the working together and collaborating together, we have some pre-selected things up there, but you can add things too of like what you would like to talk about. Our goal is that we have our group and we've been focusing on what we've been focusing on, which you'll learn about, but there's things that you all could be doing, and we might not even have any idea what those things are. We want to get your ideas out there and help you organize your own groups so that maybe there's 10 different groups working on flock from different angles, maybe in different towns, working with different constituencies, etc., so that we can maximize what we have to bring to the table. I'll explain more when we get to it, but that's what that means. Thank you.
Okay, so if you picked up one of these programs, you have the agenda in front of you, but otherwise I'll just read it to you too. So the next thing we're talking about is how flock's being used. What is flock and how does it work? And then we're going to talk about how it's being used and misused and abused across the country. We're going to talk about what we can do about it, other communities' responses to flock nationally, and what we've been doing so far here locally. And then we'll break into open space technology for like the second half of the time we're here together. All right, Anne's going to talk to us about how flock works.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Anne. I live on West Hill. I found out about flock early in the summer when we discovered cameras around our neighborhood on West Hill, and everyone started to wonder what they were. And me and a couple neighbors did a deep dive and did our research and started to find out. Can you hear me? Is that better? Okay. So I'm going to talk about the two different devices that flock has in our city and our county. Ithaca PD and our county have contracted with flock for two different devices. The first is the Flock Advanced License Plate Readers, known as the ALPRs, and these are the flock cameras that we're all talking about. The second device is the gunshot detection devices, and these are an audio device that you'll see around town as well. So first I'll talk about the cameras. I spent my summer with my kids. We drove all over the county and the city finding the camera locations. So they're in your brochure. I think there's a QR code that will bring you to a list of the locations. It was a little tricky to figure out some of them, which ones are city, which are county. Some of the cameras are right at the line, and it's hard to tell which are which. But I know for sure there are 34 flock cameras in the Ithaca area because those 22 are operated by the Ithaca PD, 7 are operated by Cornell PD, and 5 are by Cuba Heights. So that's 34. Then plus there's the 22 that are operated by the county. And these can be more outside the city. I know there's a few of the county lines. So these cameras are a motion-triggered camera. They're only triggered by cars. They theoretically are not taking pictures of bikes or pedestrians, just cars. They take a high-resolution photo of the rear of every car as it drives past. It has night vision technology. That's an infrared flash, so it can capture photos at night. Once the photo is captured, Flock's AI software scans the photo, records the license plate, the color, the make, sometimes the model, if it can, of the car, and any other exterior features which the AI can read. It could be bumper stickers, it can be cosmetic damage on the car, it could be a roof rack on the car, it could be if the car is pulling a trailer, what's on the trailer, and the date and the time and the direction of travel are recorded. So then this photo and this data is sent wirelessly to a cloud where it's stored for 30 days. Data is deleted sort of on a rolling 30-day basis, but police can search the database going back 30 days. Police must enter search reason. There's sort of different, I've heard different things about what they have to enter. They're trying to get a little more strict about it. Like police have to enter an actual incident number or an actual case number. But I know originally it was just they could put any reason in that they wanted. And they can search the database using filters like partial plate numbers, the make and color of the car, or the date and time. Flock uses Amazon Web Services for its cloud storage. Then each jurisdiction, so Ithaca City, Tompkins County, they choose who can access the data. Right now, Ithaca and Tompkins County share their data with every jurisdiction in New York State that has the cameras. So from Buffalo to Albany to Westchester to Saranac Lake, it's well over 100 different agencies that have access to our camera data. Like I said, we have a list of the camera locations we know about if you're interested. They're sometimes mounted on a utility pole. They're sometimes on their own pole. They often usually have a solar panel. They're powered by a little solar panel. So they're not traffic cameras. This is a question that I get a lot. They're not detecting speed. They're not detecting anything about running red lights or anything to do with traffic safety. They are purely for criminal investigations and, I guess, tapping hot-listed vehicles. Let's see, what else? I'll go on to the gunshot detection devices. So these look different. You can tell the difference. They're not a camera. There's no lens. They're on a black pole with a smaller solar panel. There's a little round device underneath. So it doesn't look as much like a camera, but you might walk up and look at it. So these are sort of monitoring and sampling ambient noise sort of constantly. They're not recording anything, but they're constantly sampling noise. They only record and capture loud, impulsive sounds that then, again, AI analyzes for the acoustic signature of a gunshot. If the sound is flagged as gunshot, law enforcement is alerted, the sound is flagged as gunfire, and an audio clip is saved as evidence for law enforcement. Flock advertises location accuracy under 90 feet. Not sure if that's really what happens in the real world. The more devices that are in the area, the better they can triangulate the sound and sort of nail down the location. Let's see. I haven't gotten the locations of these. I've seen them around the high school, the middle school, along Cherry Street, along State Street, South Cayuga, around the Michi House on Spencer, along Spencer Road, to one on, is it Wood Street or Wood Road? They're also around. I think there's something else I was going to say about them. They do need to be calibrated. I have read some stories where they were flagging like breaking glass, cars backfiring. There are some loud impulsive noise, but once they're calibrated, they theoretically are flagging gunfire. So those are the two devices that in the city. Yeah. Question?
Yeah, are those dynamics using the same 30-day rolling log deal?
I don't think so because they're not like logging data constantly like the ALPRs are.
So is it potential, like, if there's a loud sound, in that store, kind of indefinitely?
That's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think we know that because I do think there are cases of that happening, that being recorded and stored, but yeah, we don't know what really happens with that. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. So, and I'm sure we can talk more about it. There's a lot of questions. Do you want me to? Yeah? Yes. So it's owned by the agencies that contract with Flock. So IPD owns their data, Tompkins County owns their data. Flock has said they will not sell data to third parties at this point. But Flock has access to everyone's data. And Flock is training all their AI models on our data.
I think we can do the rest of the
And then into question. Yeah, because we'll, I know Dirk is going to talk a lot more about some stuff, so, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate the work of all the folks like Andrew who've like driven around and seen where all these things are. It takes a lot of time, so I appreciate that labor. I'm going to be talking about some of the ways that this the Flock system has been used and abused already. And I'm going to talk primarily about the cameras. Don't have as much to say about the gunshot mics. I will say a different system, the shot spotter technology, they stopped using it in Chicago because it had so many false positives that it just massively increased the police presence in Black and Latino neighborhoods. Because that's primarily where they put them, and they were just getting false positives constantly. And so it was just a machine that was calling the police all the time, basically. And so they were eventually kicked out. That's a different company, different technology. I don't know enough about the mics. Maybe that's a project that one of you all will take on and try to figure out more about. But focus of what I'm going to discuss is going to be the cameras themselves. So what really drew us to this issue originally was a reporting by a media outlet called 404 Media, who does really great reporting on the intersection of politics and technology. If this is an important issue to you, like, by all means, please subscribe to them, like donate money to them, etc. Especially in this day and age, journalism is harder and harder to sustain financially, and they're doing just such crucial reporting on stuff like this. 404 Media released so many stories over the past year about Flock, and specifically ways in which Flock data is getting in the hands of ICE. ICE does not have a contract with Flock, and so the question might be, well, how are they getting this data? And it's a wide variety of ways. Most of them are really dumb. They make friends with a cop who gives them the password. They make friends with a cop who they can call on the phone who looks it up for them. They make friends with a department that just gives them stuff. They have somebody in an allied agency who happens to have access to another agency system. I'm going to go through some of these different ways. So, for instance, in Danville, Indiana, FOIA requests have showed ICE accessing data through the police there who are providing them with information. Westchester, New York, a different ALPR system, RECOR, was being shared with immigration agents for 2 years despite local sanctuary laws like prohibiting that kind of collaboration. Something that you're going to hear here in Ithaca and Tompkins County is, oh, we have these sanctuary policies, we have guardrails to safeguard our migrant population from these federal agencies that have been running amok. But what we're seeing is in community after community that had thought that they imposed sufficient guardrails, they're getting the data anyways. And so this is something we really need to consider there. In 2023, 71 police departments in California shared Flock data with ICE and other agencies in spite of state laws that should have prohibited that. So just doing it anyways. The Orlando Sentinel reports Florida State Police querying the flock system for ICE over 250 times between March 13th and May 5th of this year. In Oregon, this one is particularly shocking. In Oregon, local and federal officers, including ICE, were found sharing access to one another's surveillance capabilities, including flock, in an email thread. Quoting 404 Media, the emails show the extremely casual and informal nature of what partnerships between police departments and federal law enforcement can look like, which may explain the mechanics of how local police around the country are performing flock automated license plate reader lookups for ICE and HSI, Homeland Security investigations, even though neither group has a contract to use the technology. So they're literally just like your friends in a group chat, just going like, hey, I got access to flock, who needs flock? Oh, I got access to this, who needs this? And then they're getting access to databases that they're technically not supposed to have access to. Just like your friends in the chat, like talking about like who has I don't know, an Apple Plus password or something. An ATF agent used the Loveland, Colorado flock system to run queries for ICE after he was granted system access for a completely unrelated crime. He's like, oh, I've been given system access for this crime. I'm just going to run some searches for ICE while I'm here. Once again, the community where doing that was unlawful, like where they had sanctuary policies that were supposed to prohibit that kind of collaboration. Now, Ithaca's data, as Ben was saying, it's shared with all these other agencies around the state. It's also shared with the United States Postal Service Police. A lot of people don't know that the Postal Service has its own police. They do. And if you watch closely the video footage of all these distressing incidents where ICE is rounding people up in Los Angeles and these other places, sometimes you see Postal Service Police on there because the Postal Service Police have been recruited into doing these types of roundups and raids that ICE has been taking part in. So they actually have access to Ithaca's data. And then there's this program called 287G, which gives, it basically is a way in which local police departments have an operating agreement with ICE to help them and to, I think maybe to some degree, they're deputized to enforce immigration law through that. A lot of the surrounding counties around us actually have these 287G agreements, like Broome County, Madison County, like a lot of other counties in the state have these agreements. And if we're sharing our data with them, then what are our safeguards that they aren't then sharing it with somebody else? That's one of the concerns that we have. Let's see. Okay, so Anne was saying this a little bit about just how they justify these queries. So the system may have been changed since we started talking about this. I'm unfamiliar. Once again, a thing that people can look up. But the flock search query justifications are publicly available and they're searchable. You could look at them. We went and we looked through them, and they were just completely random. You know, there were things like you'd look through Ithaca's query justifications, and they'd be things like suspicious or incident, or like just random phrases. It doesn't really tell you very much about them. And around the country, this was also found and reported on, the Houston Chronicle reported how few safeguards there are for accessing flock data. Officers type things like farmer pickles or donut as reasons for querying the system. Some even just mashing the keyboard at random and hitting enter. So like this is, if this is how the publicly available query justifications operate, absent any other data to the contrary, how are we to expect that this is a tightly run ship as far as how these are being used? Cal Matters has reported similarly vague and unspecific query justifications by California law enforcement. Let's see, one of the Ithaca ones was just somebody's license plate number. And since it's publicly available, I'm left wondering, was that person convicted of a crime? Or because their license plate number is now publicly available as somebody that the police were searching for forever to anybody on the internet, which seems wrong to me. Let's see here. Most alarmingly, or maybe not most alarmingly, all of this is very alarming, but the Chicago Sun-Times and Electronic Frontier Foundation reported that Texas police used the out-of-state flock camera system. Texas police used that system to pursue a woman that they suspected of leaving the state to get an abortion. So they actually used a system of 63,000 cameras around the country that they had access to try to hunt for this woman that they suspected leaving the state to get an abortion. And although we have no evidence that they've done this in relation to this case, when we think about the way that our country is changing right now, right now there's this investigation happening in Florida where they passed laws outlawing drag shows, and there is a specific drag show that Florida has put a tremendous amount of energy into. They're trying to identify every human being that went to this drag show, right? And so, maybe the system isn't being used for that right now, but the concern that if we live in an era where people are making those types of really awful choices to target vulnerable groups, I don't want them having access to the means to do so. That is all I have to say there. There are also a lot of things on Flock's website of things that they want to do in the future that they're not yet doing, but for instance, apparently the technology exists already latent within the system to turn it into 24-hour camera surveillance, and that they have various AI things that they say that they can do with it. That they can, for instance, this is one that was really worrying, that they could analyze people's movements and behavior, and that the AI would decide, oh, that person is suspicious, and then dispatch the police to them. I think your imaginations can take you where they need to go with that and the implications of that. But thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'm Aaron Fernando, and I'm just going to talk briefly about. Is it working? Yeah. Briefly about kind of data and data protections and sort of maybe false solutions that have emerged since we've been advocating for, the name of our affinity group is Flock Off, so we're trying to get Flock out. And then there's a number of elected officials and of course like the sheriff and the police department that are saying, well, there are certain technical or policy changes that can ensure that our data is kept safe. And there are some issues with that I just want to illustrate here. So to do that, I'm wondering how many folks here have used Park Mobile to park in Ithaca? Yeah, because if you can park downtown, you kind of have to. It's an app and you use it to pay for your parking. It's a contractor tech company. So yeah, it was, Ithaca started contracting with Park Mobile in 2015. In 2021, actually, Park Mobile's data got hacked and 21 million users' info, they lost control of it. So then it was being sold online. How many people knew that? Yeah, there's a few, good. And then, it resulted in a class action lawsuit, and Park Mobile settled for $32.8 million. How many of you knew that? Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. There were a couple, yeah. And so this type of hack is not actually that uncommon, this type of loss of data. It's just, it doesn't often get reported on, especially locally when it comes to a contractor. And so there's this argument going around, now that Flock is being discussed, that with the right amount of good actors in the system and the right amount of kind of policies and tech solutions, that it'll be fine. But this is mass surveillance data. Okay, so this is tracking where people go all day, every day. It's a system that doesn't sleep, it's national, it tracks you, but it also tracks all public officials in America. It tracks all military personnel whose identities can be tied to their cars. So this is a treasure trove of very dangerous data. And so this goes kind of even beyond the racial inequities and even beyond our personal concerns about being tracked. It's this is mass surveillance that can, if folks were motivated enough to hack Park Mobile, and that was like name, address, license plate number, email, right? It's like good information for identity fraud. If folks were motivated enough to hack that, you can imagine the impetus to like get access to this flock data. So that's one thing. That's one of the reasons why we want it out. We don't want like specific kind of tweaks in the policy. Another thing is the 30-day retention period. You'll hear like the sheriff and folks talking about how like, oh, the data's kept for 30 days and that's a good balance between like usability and security. It's actually just what Flock tells people to do in the sales pitch, and you can see that when they pitch the Common Council. ACLU actually suggests 3 minutes, but again, like we live in an age of web scrapers or scrapers in general. Like all AI is, or major AI is using scraping, right? It's a common tool. All web embedding is using scraping. So this idea that like, well, just because like the local deletes the data after a rolling 30 days that data is gone. It's not. It's like extremely likely that some police department is scraping the data, storing it on their own database. Some federal agency that doesn't follow the law might be doing that as well. So this is just...
Because you can download the data anytime.
Yeah, we downloaded the data, right, from the stuff that was available to us. So it's not really an assurance that the system itself deletes it after 30 days. That just means you have to save it elsewhere in 30 days. So that's what I want to say for now. And then who am I going to next?
Oh, is it me again?
Yeah.
Or you go first. You go first.
Okay, so what can we do about it? We know of a fair number of communities nationwide who have ended their contract with Flock. We had a conversation with an Austin City Council member, and Austin recently did this, so we learned how they did it in Austin and what they're concerned about going forward. We've learned about other communities across the country. There's a few different ways that we could end our contract. Our contract is paid for from a GIVE grant, which is an acronym that stands for Gun Impacted Violence Elimination, I think. And that comes from the state. Our governor is pretty into surveillance, so we may experience some pushback from the state if we try to end our contract with them. So we could decide to end the contract with Flock and not spend the GIVE money on that. We could spend it on other things. Maybe even other things that would satisfy the terms of the grant. Other cities where maybe the city manager has just decided not to put it on the budget anymore, or the council members have voted against it. Many cities in Austin, in Westchester, in Scarsdale, and adjacent communities in Chicago, and Denver, Colorado. It's not inaccessible for us to do this. So we totally can do this. It's something we can win if that's what we decide as a community we want to do. So some of us have been going to Common Council and to the legislature, to the public comment period, to talk about this. And the response that we've gotten is the city council seems pretty favorable to discussing it further and open to saying that they're concerned about it. The legislature is a little more divided, it looks like, about that. And as you may know, we elect the sheriff, and then the sheriff's bosses are the legislature. So the sheriff has a public safety committee that he's a part of in the legislature, and he goes to those meetings. He has said that if he knew that the data from Flock was being misused, he would not support us continuing to use it. He also said he didn't know if ICE had access to it. I don't think it's too hard to figure that out.
I don't have too much more to add. I will say Like I said, I'm a part of a group of neighbors on West Hill who've been very concerned about this. We have contacted the Cornell Civil Liberties and Civil Rights Clinic. So we are working with them also on the flock camera issue. There's a professor in a law school who specializes in privacy and technology, and he's assigned 4 law students to work on this with us. We've just begun our meetings, so we haven't really gotten too far with them yet, but I think they are very interested and very concerned about it. The ACLU has done a lot of work keeping track of flock and what they're doing and talking about them. So I will be very interested to see what they come up with. I think that's it. And there is a petition too that I started on change.org. It's just something to help make people more aware of it and sort of spread the word. So please feel free to sign. There's a QR code, share it with everyone. It just kind of helps get the word out.
So briefly, there's this ACLU legislation, I think there's a link to it in the program, which we could encourage our community to pass. It would give us more safeguards, as we've learned. More safeguards doesn't mean that we're free of this, but it could help. So we could get familiar with that and decide to request that the legislature and the city pass those. Also, the county legislature, none of the legislature members are here tonight right now because they're all in a budget meeting. Tomorrow there's a full legislature meeting. It's at 5:30. Public comment is the first thing that happens, and they've encouraged anybody to come to it and report about what you talked about here or what your concerns are. If you get there at about 5:15, you can sign up and you have 3 minutes. And then also there's a public safety committee meeting the following Tuesday. That's at 1 p.m. You can also email your comments to them ahead of time if you're not able to go. The public safety committee meets at 1 p.m. Yes, Adam.
Where's the meeting?
The legislature meets, what is this building called? It's on Court Street. It's between Court Street and DeWitt Park. So you enter it from DeWitt Park. Okay. The old courthouse. There you go. So let's see. Yes.
It was mentioned that there were violations of laws about sharing information, and I was just wondering if anybody knew any progress made going after activity. Our police have not been lying to law. Is there any ongoing
Mostly what I know about is communities encouraging or demanding that their governments and police departments stop their contracts with these ALPR systems. I don't know of any civil action or anything about that particularly. I think that there's enough gray areas in the contract that it might be kind of hard to do that. But. Yes.
What is the contract costing, the city?
Yeah. So I think the first year it cost about $69,000, and then the subsequent years it's a little bit less, like $66,000 a year. The amount is actually not huge when you're talking about a city or a county budget. Flock's not making their money on our cameras. And also the money comes from the state for us to pay for it. So through a grant.
That's the city, you're talking about the city.
And the county, yeah.
And so they're folded into the 69.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And also I don't have all the answers, so I'll try to answer your questions, but if I don't, we have to research, yeah.
I think we can run through the whole thing. Yeah, we have
Yeah.
a bit more. Erica does.
Yeah. Phoebe, do you have a question?
I have a question, but I can wait.
Okay. All right.
everybody. I'm terrible at talking into a microphone. I think I'm talking about kind of our strategy going forward. The big hope in this is that people who care about this issue are here and will take some time when we're done to connect with each other and talk about ways they want to move from being aware to doing things. What we've worked on here, our goal is, the group is named Flock Off, so turn them off. Ultimately we would like to see our community not being complicit in this process that is contributing to harm across the country. And for this to need to happen at both levels, at the City of Ithaca and Tompkins County, because they both have a separate contract. Bringing this back, that means both of those municipality leaderships need to cancel or end those contracts or not renew them. And as we're already you're getting tomorrow night, there is a discussion about continuing to fund this. So please consider going and making public comment. We'll have a space for people to talk about if they want to support each other to do that after we're done talking. The second thing we're working toward is really getting these communities to enact some comprehensive legislation that gives increased guidance around surveillance and how it gets rolled out and used. So as you are all kind of probably here and aware, we were not consulted about whether we wanted this technology in our community, what the terms of that agreement was, how that information would be used, stored, any of those details. Local elected bodies got sales pitches from Flock itself, who appeared to be in touch with the local police, who also presented. Just making it so I'm not holding as many things. And this is because for Flock and surveillance companies like them, they take surveillance and sell it to markets. Oftentimes, first warfare, then big cities, and then smaller cities like us. But because the US Constitution was written before the internet, before airplanes, before cars, before photography, before license plates, before telephones and telegraphs, we don't actually have good protections on data and privacy. Just the Fourth Amendment, from which there are many loopholes. So we actually need to pass some legislation in order to have protection against things like mass surveillance. The American Civil Liberties Union actually has some model legislation that's been passed by over 20 cities, including Oakland, Berkeley, San Francisco, Nashville, Pittsburgh, and Detroit, Seattle, Boston, and New York City. So back to where we started, our approach is twofold. End the contracts with Flock and pass comprehensive surveillance legislation in our community that will protect us going forward. After talking with Mayor Rob Quintano, we've been advised to actually aim for the legislation first, since it is more within the purview of Common Council and Tompkins County Legislature to do this than to just cancel the contract. And secondly, the ACLU legislation actually puts in common sense protections and strong protection around auditability, data security, and importantly, accountability for companies like Flock, so that unlike Park Mobile, we can actually hold them accountable if and when their carelessness results in our sensitive data becoming freely available on a black market. We aim to pass this legislation first, before kicking out Flock, because it should also make it easier to kick out Flock, since it's a company whose collective data has been getting misused, and the legislation has recourse written into it for that. Basically, if we pass the ACLU legislation first, and then work to end the Flock contracts and turn Flocks off, we set ourselves up for a less challenging battle going forward, and we protect ourselves from the anti-democratic way in which Flock-type tech gets rolled out without us being asked if we need it. That's pretty much it. I can talk more about the actual legislation just as a quick summary if people are interested with the microphone, or I can talk to you after. I notice we have about 9 more minutes. Should I? How do we feel? After? Personally, you can come find me and I can talk to you about kind of stuff that's in it. It has a very comprehensive, you have to prove that it, just as a, I'll do a quick, sorry, here I go. Its recommended best practices covers funding, acquisition, and changes for and to the use of any tech. And prior to doing anything, you have to have a surveillance impact report and a surveillance use policy. And the things that really stood out to me is that those policies, that those documents and that research and what they are saying, you are required to have that publicly available to the community for 21 days before any council or legislature votes on it. So it has to be 21 days, seen by the public, with a public meeting for people who are interested to come and talk about it. And if you don't do those things within 120 days, no, wait, yeah. If you don't approve it within 180 days of saying we want to do this, here's our policy things, it's gone. The tech is out, and this adoption requires you to then retroactively use this process for what is existing in your community. And so it applies kind of broad surveillance-wise. And no tech can be used until these reports are completed and approved by local electeds. So I will have to answer questions as people are talking to each other after we have the talk. Do I send everyone? Oh wait, this is the. We're in the way. Oh yeah.
Great, thank you. And while I'm thanking, I want to thank everybody who helped pull this together. I want to thank Southside Community Center for giving us a space with us. Thank you. I want to thank I want to thank all of you for making whatever choices you had to make in order to get here. I really appreciate everybody's engagement with this important issue. So we're going to move into this next section. We're going to do it in two broad time slots. The first, we have some suggested topics, which are, let me see, I can't read way down there. Which is that one? That one is public comment. We're meeting for public comment tomorrow. We've got lobbying the county legislature right here in space 2. Lobbying the city council in space 3. We've got outreach to community and neighbors and people that you know. 5 is blank. You could create one if there's a project that you think needs to be done, if there's a question that needs to be answered, if there's anything of that nature. Choose your own adventure slot. And people who want to do work with art, artivism, art performance, puppetry, whatever you might want to do, if those are the skills that you want to bring to the table. That's our first round. The second round is all choose your own adventure. So if there's something that you've been inspired by this, that you're thinking, wait a minute, we need a group in Trumansburg, then you could put on that board up there, Trumansburg group meetup, or you could put, researching the microphones, since we don't know as much information about those. If that's something you want to take on, that could go in one of those slots. Any questions about that process?
What do you want us to do with the papers?
You can write on the papers any big ideas. You can just use it for note taking while you're talking. You don't have to do anything at all with them, but it's there so that you have something to write on.
So we're just gonna go to the paper that we're interested in and then sort of.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're going to go to the ones that you're most interested in, and if you're there and you're like, I'm not really feeling this one, then you can just go to another one and let yourself sort yourself into where it makes the most sense for you to be. Yeah. Any further questions? Okay. Nikhil.
Is 4 missing a pen?
4 is missing a pen, yes. I took the pen down there to fill out the grid, but we can bring 4's pen back. Yeah. I want to make sure, Ms. Phoebe, that your question from earlier gets answered.
Okay, my question was, so you said that, I've never spoken about it. You said what the flock does, they take license plate, they can tell them dance, possibly engage, blah, blah, blah. But how is it, are they able to see passengers, who's in the car, how many's in the car, Is it possible to see any of that?
I don't have an answer for that. I think that's something that
We don't know, but that should be illegal. I mean, if it's inside the car, that's against the law.
Exactly.
The exterior of the car is legal
So
territory.
that's my concern.
Yeah.
If you can see all of that out of the car, I'm really sure you can see in the car.
Yeah.
But if it's not blocked,
I think if you look at where they are and what they're looking, like they're getting the back of every car that drives by, right? So if you're looking in the windshield, I don't know what those pictures look like, but if it's taking a picture, it's not just taking a picture of the license plate, it's the whole car. And one thing just relevant to that is that the ACLU legislation specifically asks in that surveillance use policy section, I think, that you have to account for and prepare, like look at what information that is personally identifiable would be inadvertently collected by the surveillance technology and have a plan for how you're going to mitigate the potential risks of that. I would be surprised if our current contract with Flock had anything to say about that. I haven't seen it, but
I was the community that came out with it.
Yeah.
That was a lot of some of the council members.
And that's not too late.
Yeah, it's not too late. And I will say also, and I have no proof that they're doing what you're suggesting, and that's something that would be really important to find out. But I will say that the Supreme Court just de facto legalized racial profiling, and that is very alarming to think of how that new legality might begin to intersect with technology.
Someone has something to share.
Hi. So I wrote a letter to the Ithaca Times. I sent it off yesterday, and I thought I'd share it. I don't know if they'll publish it, but what I'm doing is I'll leave it at the back. I have 20 other copies that people can just pick up and say they might be of interest. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you get a question right there.
I don't think the policy's that clear, right? I mean, I think Flock started to get
criticized because cops were able to just put whatever they want in the search. So Flock has started to tighten up their policy, saying police need to put in an incident number, but what actually is happening, we don't really know.
They
There-
do, we do have a website maintained by Flock for the county and for the city, and you can look it up right now, and it has 30 days worth of data on it. So you could look, if you Google Tompkins Flock right now, you'll see what they've entered for each time supposedly that they've accessed it.
I believe it was the article that has to there are a lot of questions that police could answer.
Yes.
And I was just wondering, I haven't heard what asking.
Yes, so I know my neighborhood group, we spoke directly with the police chief over email and asked him a lot of questions, and he answered our questions. The sheriff's department has a pretty comprehensive document on their website listing their policies for the ALPR that you can look over if you'd like.
Here in contrast, our agenda has a link, QR, to get to the ACLU legislation that you can look at yourself. Here in contrast what they have and what that looks like, because I think they're really interesting things.
One last question, could y'all, give me the acronyms for those initials you said, like ALPR, ALCU? I'm just saying it for other people who, if you take it, who may not know.
we get a lot of signatures, why not? Yeah. But I see it as more of a awareness. Let's share it on social media. Let's have people sign it, share it with their friends. It helps get the word around.
And I would encourage people to think about petitioning as like your first step, right? I'm in there, I'm sharing it, I believe in this, I'm standing up for it, I think it's important. But I think it's meaningful when a large group of people walk into a meeting and say, we care about this, and we care about our neighbors, and we care about our community, and we care about not being complicit in the nonsense that's happening. And that action, I think, beyond just doing petitions are a start, and the petition then should be the step to the next, which is talking to other people, talking to your friends, talking to the people in your community, outreaching to your neighbors, talking to your leaders, telling people you care about this and why, and telling people that this is not just about us, this is not just about, this is a bigger piece of a big puzzle of resistance to things that are not, important. So.
And one of the really, one of the really powerful things about petitions, if they're open, is that we can all see the names that are on our list. Like it's our neighbors and it's our friends. We can ask somebody why they have a sign, or like getting those conversations. That's a lot more powerful than handing a stack of petitions to the politician.
And I think saying, you can't petition and then just leave it, because then if they don't do it, then you have to show up, right? You have to go, no. This many people said, we are not wanting this, and we're not going to take the heat off. It's not enough to petition. It is the invitation to our leaders having accountability to our community too. And so we hold that for them, I think. Sorry.
One more thing that I wanted to say about with the open space section that we're about to head into is that it might be the case that you decide that you're going to create a group that does some sort of art project about this, or maybe that you're going to start a neighborhood group, or maybe you're going to, if you're in Hugo Heights or Trumansburg, one of the other communities where they also have these contracts. There's work that needs to be done. We haven't begun to work in these other communities. Maybe if you live in one of those communities, maybe that's a project you take on. If that feels daunting to you, we have back in that rack back there, we have a whole selection of pamphlets that explain the nuts and bolts of community organizing, from doing strategy